soundtrack.
What is up? Welcome back to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs Television. Once again, it's your boy Kier, and today in the studio we have ABC 10 director, interviewer, world traveler, Julian Soto.
A little bit of everything, yeah.
A little bit of everything. How you doing today,
good,
Julian?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. Yeah, man. So I've been following you kind of on social media mostly, and I know you do a lot. So I just wanted to have you on the show just to kind of get some understanding of your background and things of this nature. So I know you work in media. I know you work for ABC 10. How did you get first started working in media?
So I've been doing this since '08, so that's like 15 years now.
Okay.
And I broke college kid. And I thought of like the two things I like to do the most. And I'm born and raised Sacramento.
Okay.
And it was go to Kings games and go to movies. And those were the things that were taking like the most of my money.
Right.
And so I was like, how can I do this for free?
Right.
And the thing that I always saw, because I would go to screenings, because back then radio used to be a lot more, I think, involved in Sacramento, and they would pop up at the schools. And so they would always give free movie tickets. I'm like, well, they're always at the theater too, and the Kings games.
Right.
So I started in radio. And then I kind of just like evolved from there, going to screenings, going to Kings games all the time. And I was actually saving money and making money at the same time, doing everything I actually enjoyed.
Right. No, that's the best way to do, man. I mean, hey, if you can, because I go to screenings as well, but, so it's nice to be able to do because I'm a film critic also, so it's nice to be able to actually go see the movies and not pay for them, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you can make a buck off of it, it makes it even better.
Exactly.
No. Yeah, so, and then how did you get involved with ABC 10?
So that was like through Marcus Allen, Sacramento's finest, I always say. Without him, I probably wouldn't do half of what I'm doing today.
Right.
So back then, it was like the CBS cluster of like 5 radio stations. And they brought Mark back from TV to do radio for a while. And he was doing both TV and radio.
Right.
So he would always tell me too. And for the longest time, I was actually kind of ducking him. Because he had his movie show, Mark at the Movies.
Right.
And they filmed in the morning. But with radio, my schedule's totally backwards now. I now wake up at the time I was going to sleep. So I wake up at 3 in the morning and I go do TV. And in radio, because I would do club nights, I was hosting screenings. And so I was getting home almost at midnight sometimes, but I was going to sleep. But with Mark, he's like, come to the show. I want you to work on the show with me, because I would always see him at the screenings too.
Right.
But I prefer sleep over waking up early.
For sure.
And so then with him, so finally I'm like, all right, I'll just go do it one time. I don't know why. And then I just kind of got stuck, and I started working with him a lot more. And this is like peak when movies were everything. And his movie show was syndicated. And he had a little bit of everything. And then I got well enough in there because CBS was part of under the CBS cluster with TV.
Right.
He kind of why don't you just come work on the show full time with me?
Right.
And so we kind of worked it out where I kind of transitioned from radio to go to TV, and then I just stayed there, and I started working with him pretty much ever since.
Very cool. So how long have you been working with Mark then in total?
Probably on the better half of like 10 years now.
That's a long time.
From his movies, from both the evolutions of both movie shows, and
yeah,
just traveling everywhere with that guy and doing what we can.
So that was going to be my next question. So I know you travel a lot. So so you're going to a lot of the events that he goes to, as far as, because I know he does a lot of interviews on location, remote, and I see him traveling like not just to LA, but he travels across the country as well to interview certain celebrities whenever they have like a feature or a film coming out. So when you travel with him, are you traveling as like his director, or how does that work?
It totally depends on, a lot of times it's usually just him going. And if we're going together somewhere, it's because I've kind of worked it out to where this is where we need to be, this is where we need to go. And then I kind of like push him, and then we all kind of get in between. Because a lot of the movie junkets and stuff, that's all directly to him, and then it's usually just for him.
Right.
Because the studio's only going to pay for one person.
Right, exactly.
So I would kind of go in with that. And then, like a lot of the film festivals, I was like, we could be at all these and cover these. Or it turned into the part where there was so much stuff going on. He'd go one place and I'd go another place, and then we just combine and put all the content together.
Right, that makes sense.
For the show. And that's kind of more how I got to do a lot of stuff, because when he couldn't do it, I was able to do it. And that kind of like helped me so much.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as like interviewing goes, because I know you interview some stars and celebrities and things of that nature. I mean, is that something you just did naturally, or did you go to school or have a background in that, or
no school?
Kind of fell into
I just
it?
kind of. I mean, I think I've always had like kind of a love for like that celebrity life, or to always see,
right.
And then I was just like they say, don't grow up idolizing heroes or meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And then I've met almost all of them.
Right.
And it's kind of crazy to me that I'm in that world now.
Right.
To where like they don't know my name, but they do that look where you're like, oh, I think I recognize this guy, and that's good enough for me.
Right. So, so with that said, who are some of the celebrities that you've met that were some of your heroes and that you were inspired by that you got to interview?
I mean, so early on, it was like I'm a huge wrestling fan, and so early, and I think that's kind of where the also transition came in from radio,
right?
Because we were giving a lot of wrestling tickets out, and then we were doing interviews. I'm like, but I was the only one that kind of knew wrestling, so I got to do a lot of it, and then that kind of just evolved with TV. And then again, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
yeah.
Honestly, I could tell you one of my favorite interviews, but I don't remember none of it.
Yeah. I've heard I've never met him personally, but I heard he's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
Typically,
from what I saw after it was all put together, I was like, that all came out. Like I honestly, one of my favorite moments, but I don't remember it. It's kind of weird. Other than seeing, I was like, wow, that was really good.
Very cool.
And that was, I think, my third interview, like ever doing something of that magnitude.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, man, you have a really, really unique background, and it sounds like, linking up with Mark has been very instrumental for you, and he's definitely somebody that I look up to in the media and Sacramento world, just because filmmaker and everything else that he does. So, you got anything coming up next, or any place you're going to travel to now? I know with the strike and everything, things are kind of little.
Yeah, no, I and that's a part of it. I don't think of it like that. I mean, I feel like a lot of people like, oh, they want to make money, they want to do this. I mean, for me, like sometimes this business, unless you're not at the top, you're really not making money. So you do it for the love of the job, or what you like doing.
For sure.
And so
that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. So like with the strike, I'm like, I really don't. It's unfortunate,
right,
but I don't think of it. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait till we go back. But I'm like, I don't know what's gonna come. And when it comes, I know it'll be great.
And you'll be ready for it.
Yeah. So we just kind of just jump in.
Absolutely. Well, if anybody wants to, follow you or get a hold of you, how can they contact you? Where can they find you?
I kind of just have one handle. It's Jules Everywhere, and because at one point I literally was everywhere.
Right. Well, it sounds like you still are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where I was driving to San Francisco every other weekend. I was flying to LA once a month. It was a wild time. I was like, I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere. So that's what we'll go with, Jules Everywhere.
Jules Everywhere. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's always great to talk with you, man. And I'm sure we'll catch up at another screening or something soon. Absolutely, man. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you again for watching SacTown Movie Buff Television. We'll be back in soon with another episode.